Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am here with my good friend Mike Claudio of Winrate Consulting. Mike, how's it going, brother?
Good, bud. On the grind right now, like everybody else, trying to solve cash flow issues for everybody and make sure everybody keeps their shit together.
What are you seeing out there?
I mean, there's a lot of people right now that are dealing with cash flow issues just in general. I think that's a big common theme. Like I've heard like many business coaches talking about it, many business owners talking about it. I think part of it is, people lived off the government money for a while, and it kind of think masked some spending challenges or issues, and that kind of I think that's part of it. I think part of it is consumer spending right now is different. I think obviously interest rates being up minimizes how many people want to go out and get extra capital, so their cash on hand tends to flow a little bit slower when they're not borrowing it. I think a lot of people are still making decisions as if they have extra capital, expecting more money to come in, and then it doesn't, and then they're like, well, I made some promises, my ass can't cash now. And I think that's B2B. I think it's B2C is just as equally right now. Um, but I think we're going into a season where like real business owners will succeed and others won't. I think people that are in it for the money will flounder. I think those that are in it for the impact will continue to thrive. Um, that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. I mean, I think it's too early to tell exactly what's coming. I know you've been talking about it for probably 18 months that like it's going to be pretty ugly, and so I don't know if I agree with that wholeheartedly. I don't know. I mean, the finance world better than I do, but I feel like in every upturn and downturn, somebody's winning and somebody's losing. And I think
Yeah.
people who acknowledge that and adapt and evolve, I think will continue to succeed. And success is relative to the season too. Like succeeding might be break even year over year, right? Like
Yeah.
that might be success right now as opposed to up 100%, right? Where
Yeah.
many businesses might be going out of business, just cash flowing your business could be success right now. And I
Yep.
think people adjusting their image of what success looks like is going to be really important in surviving any season. If you don't
Yeah.
know what success is supposed to look like, it can be really difficult to maintain consistency. I think when you have a clear image of why you're doing what you're doing, what it's supposed to look like, money typically is not the desired outcome. And I know like I'm not as money motivated as many, and people may not agree with that just because of some of the lifestyle changes we've made over the last couple of years. But I'm still like, a lot of the decisions I've made are still wildly, I'll just say under my means per se. Um, there were lifestyle adjustments from a like how we want to live our lives, but overall, I'm not very money motivated. I'm not bragging about my top line revenue. I'm not bragging about my bank account. Like that doesn't motivate me. It's just different. So I think like people like that, people who are motivated more by the impact than money, will at least be able to enjoy the journey that we're on right now compared to like the last 4 or 5 years where money was just everywhere.
100%. I think you nailed it. I think discretionary income is down in a meaningful way. I
Yeah,
think there's a lot of business owners that if they could just maintain status quo over the next 6, 12, 18 months, that would be a win. So I
yeah.
agree 100% with you. Let's talk a little bit about win rate. Before we get into win rate, one of the things that I've seen, I've been able to work with a lot of people, okay? Seen a lot of people, spoken on similar stages with a lot of people. And I will say, not many have impressed me the way you have with how deep into the weeds you actually get with people and with
Yeah,
clients. Okay, you light up when you do it. It's
I do.
incredible, and you do. I mean, legitimately, like fucking
Sure.
the kid that cracked open the pinata. You know what I mean? Like
I love it.
that's yeah, that's
It's like, oh,
legitimately
you're a
how you
complete shit
get
show. This is awesome. I love the fact that you're all shit. They fucked up. This is awesome.
it. Yep. But you've been there. You can dissect it, and you actually help, which is huge, right? I give you a lot of
Yeah.
credit for it. Talk to me about why win rate. Like, what made you? What was that aha moment when you said, "Hey, this is what I want to do"?
So I've actually like the way that this story came to mind. I don't think I've ever said it this way before. Is when I graduated high school, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I knew two things. I was really good at baseball and I was really good at math. So I figured I was going to go to school, become a math teacher so I could coach baseball. Like that was the big vision for me when I graduated high school. And if I look back, what I realized is I knew I was self-aware enough to know what my strengths were, and I knew I wanted to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And so really what happened is that, corporate America didn't work out for me. I got into the small to medium business world, entrepreneurial world. And I realized I was pretty good at a few things, two of those things being sales and leadership. And then I realized I really still liked helping people. And so before I started the LLC, initially it was, I was just, you had a question, I'd tell you what I thought. Like, I mean, it's like, one of my friends is an artist and he made me a painting that says, often I have something to say. And it's like, I really do this. Like I'm not ashamed or embarrassed or fearful to share my opinion. And then I realized over time that like my opinion helped people. And a big part of even how Winrate was built was around experiential coaching. Like we make it, it's a very big part of the way that I run my coaching staff now, that I run my client base, is like we coach from experience. And if we don't have experience, we know somebody who does in whatever the situation is. And so I basically just stuck to what I know. Like, I'm not the guy to look at your P&L. I'm not the guy to look at your financials. I'm not the guy to look at your marketing budget. But when it comes to leadership and sales and business development, I stick in my lane. And so I think I realized that I was okay saying I don't know something. I was okay saying I don't think I have a good answer for that. I just don't know. Let me connect you to somebody. Yep. But when I did know something, I was also very confident in that. Like I knew when I knew something because I did it. Like I built sales strategies, I built business development strategies, I built leadership strategies, specifically in the, construction space as I helped, and I wasn't the CEO of these companies. I was number one or number two employee, whatever you want to say. And so I learned how to do this in someone else's ship. And then I started coaching, quote unquote, other people because they would call me, Mike, what do I do about this? And I'm like, this is what I would do. And they're like, all right, that sounds great. And they would try, it would work. And I'm like, in 2017 specifically, I helped several people grow by like multiple 7 figures. And I'm like, I got to fucking monetize this. Like there's something here. I love doing it. I'm making a positive impact. I want to do more of this.
Yep.
And so, that's where Winrate really started is I was already doing it because I just enjoyed it. But then I look back to like even high school, like I knew what I was good at. I knew what I wasn't good at. And I was very comfortable with all of it. Like, I'm not good at some stuff. I'm okay with that. But because I'm okay with that, when I say when I do feel like I know something well, people tend to believe it a little differently. Yep. And so I stay in my lane. I stay in what I know. I stay in what I've done. I stay in what I've personally experienced for the most part. Have I learned lessons from Ed and Andy from being a part of Arte for the last 4 years? Absolutely. Have I met some incredible human beings that I've had conversations with or podcast interviews with that I've learned stuff? Absolutely. But I almost always implement it in my own world before trying to coach somebody on it.
Yeah. And
so part of it's my own, part of it is things learned. Part of it's like a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, put it together. And here's my way of doing it. But I think in general though, if I look at what built Winrate to what it is today and, what built, I think the reputation I've built and the confidence and the excitement you see when I get into it is like, I literally only say things that I know to be true 100%. And like sometimes I believe something to be 100% true until I'm proven I'm wrong. And then I'm okay saying, hey, I didn't have that perspective before. That's a great perspective. I'm wrong. I need to change the way I approach that. And like there's a certain amount of trust and belief that comes when you're willing to say, I believe I'm right, unless you have a different opinion. And I agree with your opinion. Because everybody's got an opinion. I just don't agree with all of them. But sometimes I hear something, I'm like, you know what? That's a great point. I didn't have that perspective before. Yeah. That helps me adjust and I'm not going to completely throw out my strategy on that, but that might adjust my strategy a little bit on that one thing. And I think that's why people believe in me is because like, I'm okay being wrong. I'm okay talking about my failures. I'm okay discussing situations that didn't go well for me. I do that from stage. I do it from podcasts. I do it from content. I do it with my coaching clients. I'm okay talking about my own failures, which that's in turn, when I talk about overcoming that failure and becoming successful, they believe me. Because they watch me do it. I think that's a big part of my content strategy too. If you look at I'm not fucking the top of the top here, right? I'm not trying to compete with anybody, but I'm proud of the fact that like my podcast right now gets like 10 to 15,000 downloads a month. My YouTube channel is getting 50 to 60,000 views a month. And like, no, there's plenty of people. There's like 12-year-old kids, boys that are playing with Play-Doh that make more views and make more money from YouTube than I do. But like, I was a nobody 4 years ago. Yeah. Like my YouTube channel is 3 years old, and you might say like, well, that's kind of slow growth. Cool, I'm still impacting 1 million people a fucking year.
Yep.
And like, I'm good with that. Like, I'm 36. I'm just on the beginnings part of my journey. I'm learning as I go, but I'm still growing my impact. And so I think so many people judge the impressions, they judge the results. I've always just judged myself to following through on the cadence of activity I committed to. And I think that's what has allowed people to follow the journey, because I was just as honest and open in 2019 that I am now.
Yeah.
And I think you've been a part of that journey. You've watched a lot of it. You know, I've talked about how much I hated that fucking townhouse. And when I bought this house, you're like, bro, this is fucking all. He did it.
Yeah.
He said he was going to do it. He fucking did it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like you appreciate somebody who's willing to show you the journey. And I think so few people, specifically in the content game and social media, is willing to like be honest about like the journey is ups and downs. If you only ever hear about somebody's ups, they're not telling you the whole story.
Yeah. That's amen. That's the truth. You know,
it really is.
You've known a lot of my mess ups. I'm pretty open about everything, you know, like.
Well, and look, not every mess up is on the internet, right? Like there's some deep holes I'm probably not going to talk about on the internet, right? But like relative to the story of what I'm trying to build from an impact perspective, what people tell me a lot is I'm very relatable, and I'm really good at meeting them where they are. You know, I'm not the person who's like, hey, I'm up here, look how successful I am. If you're not up here, you're a fucking loser. Like that's not, there's plenty of those guys out there right now just preaching that, yelling from the top of the mountain. And if you're not up here with me, you fucking suck. I don't disagree with that mantra, guys. I think there's some people that need that directness, that almost harshness to get out of their own way. I believe it's needed. But I think there's a lot of people right now that are tired of not feeling enough, tired of feeling like no matter what they do, there's somebody telling them they suck. And like I think a lot of people just want to be met where they are and saying, hey, you're right here. That's okay. Where do you want to go? Cool. Here's how we can get there. And I think I'm really good at meeting people where they are and I don't want to say projecting, because I think most high level influence, especially in the motivation space, are pretty good about telling both sides of the story. Like we'll use Andy as an example. Like he's going to call you out for being a piece of shit, and he's going to be okay telling you that you're winning your way. Mm-hmm. It's that the person where I think people struggle is the person who's actually doing a good job doesn't have enough people next to him telling him he's doing a good job. And this is where a lot of, I think, the mental health issues, the suicide, drug addiction, porn addiction, prostitute, I think all this shit's coming in to fill this gap where, most high performers never feel like they're doing enough. And they hear Andy talking about, you're not trying hard enough. He ain't talking to you, bro. Yeah. Like it took me a long time to learn that lesson. He wasn't talking to me in that moment. There were seasons I needed to hear that. There were seasons I needed to get a little kick in the ass. But like right now, like it actually happened for the first time ever in my life in December of this past year. Like I experienced blissful dissatisfaction.
Okay.
For the first time in my life.
Describe.
I'll tell the story. So we were looking at planning for our year-end trip with Tiff and I, and we always like recap the year, what went well, what didn't go well, what we want to do a bit differently or better next year. And I remember waking up one day and I couldn't find a problem.
Okay.
I couldn't find anything I was like unhappy with.
Okay.
And I remember saying like, I'm calm. The voice in my head is quiet. My heart feels full. My wife is here. My sons are here. My business is running. We have great events. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Didn't know it was a thing. And honestly, it's stuck around. Like I'm not every day that way, but like comparatively, I would say more often than not, like when you realize, so what happened in December for me was I did a lot and I'm allowed to be happy with what I've done, but that doesn't mean I'm done. And I think that's such like people think like the championship, right? Because like sports is a big analogy, obviously in my world, but a lot of worlds is like once you get the trophy, the season's over. In business and in life,
Just
the
begin.
trophy it's a checkpoint to prove that you've been operating correctly for a period of time.
Yeah.
And the trophies get bigger the longer you put in the work, right?
Yep. 100%.
So this house is an example of a trophy for me. But I still have to wake up tomorrow and continue to earn it.
Yep.
Right? Like, I think J.J. Watt said, right? Like, life is, what is like rent's due every day.
Yep.
Right?
Success and rent. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know the exact same, but it's like rent's due every day. So, like, now I have to earn the right to keep the trophy. Because if I don't, so that just means I'm forever going to be working hard, but I'm allowed to enjoy it. And because a second experience happened in January this year. Okay. So I remember I was like, I did that stupid shit last year where I tried to like do a bodybuilding contest. I gained like 50 pounds.
I remember that.
For no reason. And like, I still haven't lost all that weight because I just haven't been as focused on it. But I remember looking back at I was going through pictures. So part of our year-end strategy is we go back through our pictures from the year because you forget about a lot of experiences you had throughout the year. Like sit down with your wife tonight with a glass of wine and scroll through the pictures from the last year. Like, oh, that was awesome. I forgot about that, man. That was so cool.
Actually
like,
amazing.
We do it at the end of every year. We go back to January 1st because Apple has pictures done by timeline. Go back and just flip through the pictures in both of your phones through the whole year. You'll find hundreds of memories you forgot about.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that, and I went back a little bit past that because like December 2021, I was pretty happy with how I looked at that point. And I remember thinking to myself, I wish I could have been happy then. I think a lot of us deal with that. You look back at a season or an experience or a body shape you had or money you had or a business you had or a relationship you had, and you're like, man, I wish I just could have been happy then.
Yeah.
And I said, I never want to say that again. I never want to say that about any part of my life again. I remember having this conscious conversation with myself of, I looked at this picture and said, man, I wish I could have just been happy then. And I'm like, I never want to say that again. I never want to look at something in my life and say, I wish I would have been happy then. And the only way to solve that is to be happy now.
Yeah.
The only way to not look back and say, I wish I would have been happy is just be happy now. And so, but that doesn't mean I'm done. That doesn't mean I'm not looking to improve and evolve my physical being, evolve my finances, evolve my relationships, evolve my business, evolve my life. I'm like continually evolve is one of my core values for a reason. I want to constantly look for ways to get better. But I'm allowed to be happy today.
Yeah.
Like I'm 100% responsible for everything in my life right now, good or bad. I'm allowed to be happy with it. That doesn't mean I'm done. That doesn't mean the journey stops. It doesn't mean I don't try to get better. It doesn't mean I get complacent. It doesn't mean I say it's enough. I'm not saying it's enough, but I'm happy with what I've built today. And tomorrow I'll show up and try harder. And so those two things happened. Like I remember waking up and then it was like maybe a week or two later, this other story with the picture happened. I was like, all I have to do is be happy today and not be done. And I'll never have to look back again and wish I was happy. I hate looking back.
It's not easy, right? We always focus on getting in better shape, getting more money, getting to spend more time with a family. Very few people talk about a process or things to do that will make you appreciate where you are or how to be happy. What are some things that you could tell people that you do to feel happier or to be more content with where you are?
All right. So this is something that I've been trying really hard to find a way to articulate because like being a coach is awesome if you can't get people to do anything with what you tell them because it doesn't land, it doesn't work.
Yep.
And so I'm trying really hard to articulate this lesson effectively. So I'm gonna try my best. I still don't have it fully baked yet. One day I'm gonna call you like, bro, I got it baked. It's gonna happen. You'll see it. But what people do, I think, in general, is they look at each role of their life and compare the potential to if they put 100% effort into that one role. Like, what would my business look like if it was all I did? What would my marriage look like if it's all I did? What would my kids look like if it's all I did? What would my body look like if it's all I focused on? And so we create these potentials in each role we carry in our life. Like for me, it's husband, father, leader, athlete. Those are the 4 roles I play in my life right now.
Yep.
And so if I look at each of those roles as a husband, father, leader, or athlete, if I had 100% effort in one bucket, I know what the potential could look like. The problem is we have a salary cap of how much energy we can distribute into each role. And so what I learned is I might have to accept a lower potential in the business because I'm underperforming in my husband role. So I'm not willing to, like, basically what I did was I reset the floor. This is as low as I'm willing to go in this one role or category of my life. And so for me to go more in the business, I have to travel more. Well, that means I'm not as good as president of a husband or father. That puts me below my floor.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I could have abs right now, 100%. And I'm not making excuses. I still work out every day. I'm still working on my body. But like, I have to accept maybe a lower level of potential for my physical being, because when I'm fully on the diet and fully on 75 hard, my business suffers, my family suffers, and my marriage suffers. Certain things get better, right? But when I'm hungry, I'm not as a good at performing as I am when I'm eating enough. You know, when I'm not working out twice a day, I'm just working out once a day. I have more time for my kids and my wife. I have more time for my business. And so, like, yes, I've done 75 hard. Yes, I've done live hard. Yes, they were phenomenal for me. But at some point, you're just doing it because, like, oh, a bunch of people are starting on the first. Let's do 75 hard again. That's not a good reason to do 75 hard.
No.
But it happens all the time.
Yeah.
And so if you look at the primary roles of your life, for me to be 100% here, I have to be willing to sacrifice the others. And there's some idiot out there, asshole out there going like, Mike, you're just sounding like a little fucking bitch. No, I'm happy with my life because I'm performing in my life right now as the husband I want to be, the father I want to be, the leader I want to be, and the athlete I want to be, according to my fucking rules, according to my measurement of what I'm capable of in each of those categories where one is not suffering for the other. So yes, my business might be underperforming potential right now because I have not traveled for almost a year. Like, I was traveling 2 or 3 weeks a month. When we moved to the new house, I said, my family needs me here to help them through this transition. I'm not going to travel. Does that impact my business? 100%. Could we be doing more revenue right now if I went to every fucking event this year to date? 100%. But I would not have been as present as a husband and father as I want to be. And that's why I'm happy. I know that my business is growing. I know that I've been a great husband. I know I've been a great present father. And I know that I'm working out as aggressively as I can right now without sacrificing any of the other things. And so blissful dissatisfaction happened for me when I was performing at the proper level in each role, where one was not being sacrificed for another. That's where I think the frustration happens is like, you're happy with your business until you look at your family, or you're happy with your family and your business until you look at yourself in the mirror, right? Or like, you look at yourself in the mirror, you're happy, and you look at your business, you haven't been present for 90 days.
The way you put it was very, very well. You're right. Is it all tied up? No. But when you think about it, everyone does exactly what you said. If I dedicated 100% of my efforts on business, what would my business look like? What would my body look like? When I do visualization, I'm actually going through it. And I'm realizing, oh shit, that's what would happen if it was 100%. Very, very.
But let me reference this too. Like, friendship is not on my list right now. Like, being a friend is not one of my roles. And like, I'm okay with that. Like, I don't have a lot of friends. I don't hang out with people. I don't go out. I don't go to dinners. I don't get invited to parties. Like, I'm good with it. Like that. So like, you have to look at what you have to sacrifice for the primary roles to win too. So like, I am underperforming maybe as a friend. I'm probably underperforming right now as a son. Like, I don't spend a lot of time with my parents like I used to. But what's important to me right now is husband, father, leader, and athlete. And so like, you have to, like I've been saying for a long time, like, for you to be the championship version of yourself, you have to define what winning looks like to you.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, me and my wife have laughed and had better sex in the last year than we have in 10 years of marriage. I bet we laughed more in fourth quarter last year than we did in the last 5 years. Because I've been dedicated. I had nothing left to give.
Yeah.
I was there physically, but I was exhausted.
Well, check that.
Like, and the business is still growing.
Yeah.
Like maybe not, like I grew like multiple hundreds of percents 3 years in a row. I might only grow by 50% this year. That's still a fucking killer
Right.
year. And being the husband and being the father and being the athlete I want to be. Like, that's still a good year. You could be like, Mike, but you could be doing more. You're fucking right, I could. But I wouldn't be happy doing it. I'm allowed to be happy.
There you go.
And I would challenge anybody to come look at my routine and tell me that there's more to give. Please come look at it.
I've seen your calendar.
Tell me.
I have seen your calendar.
But also, like, tell me your priorities, then show me your calendar and your task list, and I'll tell you what your real priorities are.
Yeah.
Because I have time for my wife, I have time for my kids, I have time for myself. That goes on my calendar first, and then the business works around that.
True. How far out do you do that?
So at the end, in our year-end planning trip, we put every date night, family vacation, and time with the kids on the calendar first for the whole year. So we do a year for the whole year.
Nice. And
so, like, we plan, like, we know when the business trips are, like, we know when the Winrate events are, so that goes on the calendar. So we can rearrange some stuff. But Mike, what if something pops up? It fucking doesn't, because I prioritize my family and my wife and my kids. So, like, but what if an event pops up? I can't make it. What if they're going to pay you? Money's not worth it. Like, I mean, this is not a difficult decision. That calendar is my priority. I have every date night, every trip with the family, every family vacation, we do date nights with the kids. Like, I take the boys out. I'll just me and the boys sometimes. It's on the fucking calendar for the whole year before the year starts. But Mike, no, fuck your excuses, man. Like, there's always more that could be done, but I'm not willing to sacrifice who I want to be as a husband and father. That comes first.
Dude, I love it. How long do you think you've been operating out of that, like that?
I mean, I think it's been like, a little bit better over years. Tiff and I started our year-end planning 8 or 9 years ago.
Okay.
And it's evolved every year. Like, we realize, like, where we failed at it before, and we every year we, like, add or subtract parts of the process.
Yeah.
And so it's evolved over, but probably 10 years or so.
Nice.
And, like, effectively doing it probably like a year or two.
Okay.
Because, like, even like 2021, I had no balance. I was all in the business because I wanted to buy a fucking house last year. So I told Tiff, hey, Tiff, I'm not going to be as present this year because I'm building something, because I need to get to a certain income level, because we have a budget of $1.2 million for a house. That's what we were prepared to spend. And I'm like, I got to go earn that. Like, that isn't just going to happen on its own. So 2021 was completely unbalanced. So, like, I would say I was aware of it, but I was still there was, 90% of my effort was in the business, and, like, I wasn't very present as a father. I wasn't as present as a husband. So I'd say I've gotten better just even in the last year of really understanding the priorities. Nice. Which is why I've only been blissfully dissatisfied since, like, December. Like, this is new for me. Like, this is aggressively new. And part of it is, setting my priorities. Part of it is understanding what winning looks like to me. Part of it is understanding I don't have 100% in 4 categories. I have a fucking salary cap. I can't just, if you're on DraftKings, bro, you can't spend more money than they give you. That's your limit. You can't
be going after $10,000 players.
That's your limit, okay? You can't do that. I have a salary cap of how much energy, and I have a floor that I'm unwilling to go beneath from a percentage of my effort in each category.
There you go. Bro, I love it. That's a great way to explain that. That does bring it home.
I told you I'm getting better at it. I'm not sure it's fully baked yet, but we'll get there.
It's close enough, dude. Close enough.
You get the point.
So walk me through when you're working with somebody, right? What are some of the first questions you ask? What are some of the first things that you like? Take us through your process. If someone wants to work with you and to grow their business, what are some of the first things?
So I'll tell you, like, honestly, Jonathan, over the last couple of years, I think we have become aggressively more life coaches than business coaches. So we have an onboarding questionnaire that kind of covers business, family, health, spirituality, finance. We kind of go through the whole gamut, but I make all my clients answer the same 2 questions when we get started. It's who do you want to be and what do you want to be known for? Because every decision you make, every reaction you make, every emotion you carry, every piece of content you make, every hire, every fire, every conversation, every discipline you implement with your family has to lead to a desired outcome of who do you want to be and what do you want to be known for. Because if you don't start making decisions now with that desired outcome, then you make sporadic decisions and people don't trust who you are. And it may not be you don't have integrity. It just might be you don't have a clear desired outcome of who you're trying to be, so your decisions are not aligned. Yeah. And that's almost worse because you're ignorantly not building trust with people. At least if you don't have integrity, you kind of just like know it. I mean, like if you know you're lying to people, you know why people don't trust you. You know, like and so if you can answer who do you want to be and what do you want to be known for, you answer those two questions in extreme detail. It's not like this is like mine's probably 30 or 40 sentences long. It's not like one or two things. It's a big list. It's like who do you want to be for yourself, your wife, your kids, your family, your community, your business, like your audience. It's who do you want to be and what do you want to be known for across all aspects. Yeah. And if you make decisions that align with that, like if I want to be known as an engaged husband and father, I can't keep deprioritizing my fucking wife and kids. Like that just like that doesn't line up. And so those two questions are typically where I start. And from that, then I know how to create objective discipline in my life. You know, so I don't make decisions that don't align with certain outcomes because it just doesn't align. It doesn't work. And so that's where we start. And then I look at your priorities. I look at your calendar. We do a SWOT analysis of your business and your life. So I use SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats as a business tool and a personal tool. Like Tiff and I do a SWOT on our family every quarter, just like I do on my business. Like, where are we good right now? What are we strong at? What are we weak at? What are some opportunities for us as a family? What are some threats to us as a family right now? You want to start prioritizing your family more, go ask your kids how they feel about your attention of them right now. If you got kids that have an opinion like over the age of like 6 or 7, you're going to hear the truth.
Yeah, that's how do you go through that with your kids? One friend to another.
I mean, like, MJ, what do you think daddies and mommy are good at right now?
Okay.
MJ, what do you think mommy and daddy are bad at right now? MJ, what are some cool things that you think we should be taking advantage of or like really going after right now? MJ, what are some things that you think could hurt us as a family? You go and get some answers for my MJ's just like me. He's got something to fucking say. Everett's the opposite. Everett's very reserved. MJ's very opinionated. He's just, me and MJ is gonna be just like me when he grows up, 100%. So, but like, hey, what are we good at right now? What do you like about what mommy and daddy do right now? What do you not like? Yeah. And like the answers sometimes are good. Sometimes it's like, I don't like that you take my iPad away. Okay, well, I'm not gonna call that a weakness. So you can. I'm not. Like, right? But like, because like we go on spurts of like weeks at a time where they're not allowed to look at screens. Okay. I don't know about your kids, but like my kids spend an hour on YouTube. They're a different fucking human later that day. Yeah. And so like right now they've been fucking up, so they have to go the next 2 weeks without screens. Like they can't watch TV, they can't look at their iPads, they can't get on their phones, none of it. They're not allowed to be on screens.
There you go.
So unless we watch a movie as a family, which we do every week, they're not allowed on screens. And we homeschool. So like, fuck you, tell me that you ain't got time. Like our kids are never gone. We manage them every day. Yeah. And so like a threat to us is too much screen time. We talked about that. So my kids know at 5 and 7 or 4 and 7, Everett will be 5 next week. Yeah. They know a threat to us as a family is too much screen time. I love that. I've had MJ, my 7-year-old, hey dad, like I'm kind of feeling a little funny. I think I've had too much screen time. I don't want to go beyond a certain limit. Will you take my iPad from me, please? My 7-year-old.
That's awesome.
Because I told him a threat to us as a family is too much screen time. Because for me too. So if he sees me on my phone too much, he goes, Dad, how much screen time you had today? I said, probably too much, bud. Put my phone away. Yeah. He's 7. But because I talked, say again?
No, go on.
I said, because we talked to them about the real reality, every quarter we talk about what we're good at, what we're bad at, what some opportunities, some threats are. Yeah. Now they play a role in holding us all accountable.
I love that. How long have you been homeschooling? Since the beginning?
No, since we moved. So about a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you like it?
Sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, it sucks that's an unfair statement. what the biggest challenge right now is Tiff and I like unschooling ourselves. We grew up like we have an idea of what school's supposed to look like.
Yes.
And so it's probably been harder for us than for them, to be honest. But we follow curriculum. I think it's called Good and Beautiful or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So we have workbooks we work through. We have, with Everett's 4, we use like ABC Mouse, and like we use a lot of like. So my opinion right now is I'm not going to teach my kids anything that they can Google.
Okay.
I'm teaching them problem solving, communication. Like MJ got on stage at TCC last month in front of 60 adults and spoke.
That's
He's
awesome.
7. So like I want to teach them skill sets that you can't Google.
Yeah.
You look at AI and Chat GPT right now, like you're not going to need to know any detail about anything ever again. But you need to know how to talk to people. You need to know how to problem solve. You need to know how to strategize. You need to know how to deal with your emotions. You need to understand emotional intelligence. You need to understand how your actions impact your future. You need to understand like that shit.
Yeah.
So I'm not interested in teaching my kids anything they can Google. Fuck all those teachers that, you have a calculator in your pocket when you grow up. It's like, bitch, if you only knew what I was going to have access to in my pocket when I grew up, I would not have taken algebra. I promise you. It's just like, I'm not interested in like, honest. There's still days I look at it and like, am I fucking my kids up bad? Because I don't know. But like homeschool's become so much more prevalent. They're incredibly socialized through like they do jujitsu, they do gymnastics, they go to like a co-op once a week, they go to the library and read, like they go to playgrounds all the time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of vendors and like facilities that have like homeschool days. Like there's a rock climbing place around the corner. They have a homeschooling day from 2 to 4 once a week. So it's like we get them socialized and they play sports. Like they both did baseball this past year. They'll probably soccer or baseball this fall, and so they're socialized plenty. But honestly, like I don't even know if I want them socialized with a lot of people. Like I'm not sure if that's even good right now. Like what I'm seeing happening in schools right now, I don't know if that's a proper socialization strategy.
I concur.
So, but yeah, so like it's been very rewarding. Yeah. It's been challenging because we just don't get a break from them. Like most people, like most people like can't wait for summer break to end. Like you see that all the time, right?
Yeah.
My summer break never ends. They're here every day, all day. Again, they go do things. They go to gymnastics. They go over here. But Tiff and I have really taken an ownership of trying to make this successful, and we're going to give it a fair shot. So,
dude, that's awesome.
It has been enjoyable, but like parenting, right? It's like 7 weeks of hell for like that 1 week that makes it all worth it, right? Like that's like we have suffered through 10 days with you, but then like that 30-second thing that they did, you're like, oh, they're so cute. They're so worth it. Fuck, it's so terrible.
The first time you heard "I love you, Dad" makes up for all the cries.
Oh my God, it's just like but like watching them evolve as young men, because I'm putting them in positions like I would put a man in, right? Like some people think I'm crazy, but like I let MJ chop wood. If I can't teach you how to chop wood and you're in danger, then you're just too dumb to be in the world. I'm doing you a disservice. So like we let them do a lot of shit that like I don't think a lot of parents would, but I don't care.
Yeah, I'm with you. Kids need to grow up and understand how to do things that are going to prepare them for later on. They should know how to change
I think it's that, but also I want to get ahead of a lot of the lessons they're going to learn the wrong way. Mm-hmm. What they hear on the internet about sex or friends or what is funny. Like you watch even a kid's show today on Disney. What's funny is bullying. Making fun of kids, and then there's just laughter, and they think and like that kid's sad, and now that's funny. You can't even watch Disney anymore. At least to what I want my kids to learn.
Disney's been a little brutal for a while.
But it's just like you can't put them on YouTube, that's for sure.
No.
Disney's struggling. Netflix has some stuff, but it's like even what kids are supposed to watch right now is like showing the rich person as the bad guy. It's showing bullying as funny. It's showing making fun of kids as what the cool kids do. It's like, are we not going to fucking outgrow this at some point? Like, this is not an okay way to operate as an adult human.
I almost think you have to go back and let them watch like older cartoons
I mean, at this point, we read
or
books.
no TV.
MJ read his first novel last month.
There you go.
So and he read the whole thing out loud.
Out loud? That's
Yep.
miserable, but good work.
He loved it. He loved the story.
There you
I
go.
want to teach him how to orate. I want to teach him how to conversate. I want to teach him how to speak words well, because everybody's in their fucking chats. Everybody's in their fucking DMs. Everybody's in text messages. You want to differentiate yourself? Be somebody who can speak for a living.
I agree.
He's going to beat his competition of his own age group because he can have conversations.
And influence.
You can't teach that in school.
I think some of the older things that we grew up and we were taught now is going to separate kids so much because it's things that they don't work on. Okay. They don't want you to know how to influence people. They don't want you to know how to speak elegantly.
No, like even little shit. Like I sat them down the other day. And I taught my kids more about the stock market than I learned in 30 years of life. I taught, like, what are shares?
Yep.
How do you trade them? How do you make money? How do you lose money? I showed them my stock portfolio and was like, this is what it means. This is what red means. This is what green means. This is what black means. This is when it's open. This is when it's closed. Here's how you buy it. Here's how you sell it. Here's how you trade it. And it's like, he's like, I did this whole diagram. And like, that's more than I learned in the first 30 years of life.
Dude, that's incredible.
Like, shit like that.
Make that repetitive.
Oh no, for sure. No, it's every now he asked me, "Hey, Dad, how the stocks doing today?" Not good, bro. Not good. Don't ask today. Let's talk about tomorrow. Like, no, I mean overall though, like I got some decent. Like I'm up on all the stocks I own right now, so like I'm happy with where I'm at.
There you go.
I made out big on Meta.
Did you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You were buying on the way down?
I bought at 109, bro.
Nice.
It's at like 270 right now, I think.
Yeah, that doesn't suck.
No, that's a good day.
That's a very good day.
Yeah.
That's great, man.
But yeah, so like that's how homeschooling going is. We're living life, growing businesses, and evolving as influences and mentors and leading by example with them. That's what homeschooling is to us.
I like it.
Yeah.
Dude, I think that you're doing the right thing. It's something I've kicked around a lot. And unless you
honestly, man, like there's still days I question whether or not I'm making the right decision for sure. Because part of it is, am I underserving them by not exposing them to other avenues that outside what I believe in? But the short answer is I'd rather fuck them up on my own accord than let somebody else fuck them up wrong.
Correct.
That's just how I feel about it right
now. At least you have all the right intent. You know what I mean? Someone comes in with negative intent.
But bro, like school's like 100 years old, right? Like maybe 120 years old. Like that's how old. That's how old like the school system is, right?
Yep.
Millions of years people survived without fucking school.
Yep.
Millions of years people survived without school. So now 120 years in, we got it figured the fuck out. Bullshit. Bullshit, man. I don't believe that for a minute.
That's a genius way to think about that.
Bro, like it's barely even scratching the surface of like time in roll. Like if I said, hey, we've been doing something the same way for 100 years. We tried the new way for a year, but we guarantee that's the best way to do it. Nope.
No one would take that argument.
Nope. Disagree.
So let's knock into Winrate a little bit more. You building this business essentially from scratch. What were some of the biggest mistakes looking back at? If you had to name your top three, what were your top three mistakes building everything? And how did you
over investing pre-clients? I see that happen a lot. People like get the office, build the thing, get the website, get all this shit done. Like I probably spent 20 grand before I made 5. Okay. You know, so I think that was, I mean, it wasn't detrimental, but like early on, I would say it was definitely one of the bigger mistakes I made. Like I got an office because I thought I needed it. I built this website because I thought I needed it. Like I just needed more clients. I didn't need all that shit. But I see a lot of business owners because they get sold by marketing companies that you need to spend 10 grand on a website to even have a business. No, you need clients to have a business, not a website. That's not how that works, right? The government doesn't tax your website; they tax your revenue. So you need more revenue. You see it all the time, though, right?
But it's so fucking true because so many people make that mistake.
Oh, it happens all the time. So I think that was a big mistake I made early on. I think, I would say one of the bigger ones I'm right now dealing with is I did not have a very detailed employee agreement.
Okay.
So that was something that you just don't know till you know, right? There's just certain things that employee agreements need. I'm not going to get into it right now because I'm kind of in the middle of something, but I would say definitely hire an attorney to build your customer and your employee contracts. Don't just have some basic thing. Look, I had something in place more than nothing, but it was not as detailed or as built out as it needed to be to protect me in a situation I'm dealing with right now that could have been avoided with a better contract.
Yep, we've all been there. I've been there.
And then, hey, hold on one second. My computer's going down.
Yep.
I don't know why I wasn't plugged in. That never happens. Hey, I'm back, guys. I would say in-person masterminds. I wish I would have done it sooner.
Okay.
I joined Arte in 2019. I joined Apex at the end of 2019. Being around other entrepreneurs and other like-minded people. I'm not going to say it was a mistake because I wouldn't really change where I am right now for anything really. So I don't feel like I'm underperforming. But I wish I would have gotten into in-person networking at an entrepreneur. I'm not talking about the BNIs and the chambers. I'm talking about higher level entrepreneurs. I'm telling you, Arte unlocked a door for me I didn't know was there.
Yeah.
It was I went through this little crack in this little back door and I opened up into this whole fucking Narnia world of high performing entrepreneurs. And so you know what I mean though, right? You network.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, you network locally, you don't get it. And I'm not judging the people at BNIs, but you don't get what higher level national size entrepreneurs are looking at.
Correct.
And so, I wish I would have found that. I found it probably when I could handle it. I don't know if I would have been able to understand it or handle it before I found it, but that's something I wish I would have understood sooner. So I don't know if it's a mistake as much as it's a lesson learned.
Yeah.
But I would say don't overinvest before revenue. Make sure you hire an attorney to do your employee and customer contracts.
Yep.
And try to find a higher level ecosystem to plug into sooner rather than later. Spend the money to get in the room.
Perfect. I love that, brother. So if anybody wanted, because I usually keep these to a half hour. I knew me and you were going to blow by.
Shit, sorry.
No, it's all good, bro. Listen, I've been having an absolute blast, dude. You're dropping bombs. This is exactly what I knew it was going to be.
You should send me the recording. I'll release this as a podcast episode for you, even.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think it'd be a good episode. Here's an episode of Mike getting interviewed by somebody else. That hasn't been on my podcast before.
Do it. I'll send I will. So,
but no, I mean, I think so you want to learn more, if you want to find my content we've talked about or my businesses, you just go to MikeClaudio.com. It's all there. Winrate Consulting on Instagram, the Big Stud Podcast is my podcast. But if you just go to MikeClaudio.com, it's basically a landing page for all. It's more than a link tree. It has a decent amount of information there, but it's all there.
I love it. Hey, thank you for coming on. You absolutely crushed it, brother. I'm going to send this to you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll definitely be a unique episode. The time Mike got interviewed on the podcast.
Works for me, brother. All right, guys. Listen, he's one of the only coaches. There's a few that I will actually endorse that I've seen that knows what they're doing. He's one of the few that I endorse wholeheartedly.
I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks.